you're over 60, this is something you simply can't afford to ignore. That's because a common snacking habit, something many of us do without a second thought, could silently trigger a stroke while you sleep. No warning signs, no pain. One moment you feel fine, the next your arm won't move. Your speech is slurred or you suddenly lose your balance. I've personally witnessed this happen without warning to many older patients. What worries me most is that the cause isn't the usual suspects, like smoking, poor diet, or lack of exercise. No, this time the risk comes from something most people actually trust for their health nuts. Yes, almonds, cashews, macadamia nuts, pistachios, even peanut butter. These are all known for being heart-healthy, good for memory, and helpful for managing cholesterol. But here's the truth: when eaten at the wrong time, in the wrong form, or in excessive amounts, these nuts can seriously harm aging blood vessels. They can cause sudden spikes in blood pressure or even bleeding in the brain, especially at night when your brain is at its most vulnerable. In today's video, I'll walk you through 5 popular nuts that may be putting your health at risk without you knowing. And if you or someone you love enjoy snacking on these regularly, this might just be the most important video you watch all year. To begin, let's talk about one nut that nearly everyone believes is healthy, but may pose a bigger risk than you realize: almonds. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I encourage you to do so now and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of our important health tips. And if you find today's topic helpful, type the number 1 in the comments below. If you think we can do better, type 0. I truly want to serve you better each day. Number 1, almonds. Good for the heart, but a hidden risk for the brain. Hard to believe, right? That a handful of almonds, a snack praised by doctors, nutritionists, and even fitness coaches, could end up being the silent trigger for a life-changing stroke overnight. But I've seen it happen with my own eyes. Not just once, not rarely, repeatedly. As a neurologist, I've treated many patients who seem to be doing all the right things only to suffer the consequences of a habit they thought was healthy. Let me tell you about Mr. Gerald Thompson, a 70-year-old retired firefighter from Ohio. Strong, disciplined, proud. Every night, he would sit in his favorite recliner, read the paper, and enjoy a small bowl of almonds, about 1 cup. Almonds are good for the heart, he told me during our first visit, and he wasn't wrong. But when taken in the wrong amount at the wrong time, especially for older adults, they can become a hidden danger. What most people don't know is this: almonds are very high in oxalates, a compound that, when it builds up, binds with calcium in the blood and leads to vascular calcification. This causes the arteries, especially those in the brain, to become less flexible, more narrow, and more likely to develop blood clots. In younger people, the body can usually manage this better, but in older adults, especially at night, when the body tends to get mildly dehydrated and blood vessels are already aging, this combination can create the perfect storm for a stroke, often during sleep. Mr. Thompson had no warning signs. He went to bed like any other night. But around 5:30 a.m., his wife noticed he was slurring his speech and couldn't lift his left arm. A scan confirmed he had suffered an ischemic stroke. No major plaque buildup, no diabetes, no smoking. Just years of quiet buildup from his nightly almond habit. What seemed like a harmless routine turned out to be the biggest threat to his brain. Blood work showed elevated levels of both oxalate and calcium. His arteries were stiff and his blood pressure was unstable. Classic signs of long-term oxalate overload from diet. And here's the dangerous part. Almonds don't taste harmful. They taste safe, familiar, pleasant. But for older adults, more doesn't mean better. Your kidneys don't handle oxalates the way they used to, and your arteries aren't as elastic as they once were. A snack that seems healthy if eaten daily, without understanding how it affects your body, can lead to serious neurological consequences. Today, Mr. Thompson is in a wheelchair. He can't drive, he needs help getting dressed. I thought I was doing the right thing, he told me, eyes welling up. I didn't know a snack could take away my independence. That's the harsh truth about the aging brain. Even the most innocent-looking foods can do harm if we don't understand how they work inside us. So, the next time you reach for almonds, especially at night, ask yourself, is this helping my brain stay healthy, or am I quietly taking a risk I don't understand? And if almonds surprised you, just wait until you hear about the next nut one that seems harmless but can quietly send your blood pressure soaring while you sleep. If you're still watching and finding this helpful, leave a number 1 in the comments so I know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. Cashews. Rich in magnesium, but risky for people with high blood pressure. Creamy, buttery, and satisfying cashews have become a favorite nighttime snack for many older adults who are trying to eat clean and avoid processed foods. After all, we've all heard that cashews contain healthy fats and lots of magnesium. That's what every health magazine, TV show, and product label keeps telling us. But here's something very few people share with older adults. If you have high blood pressure or heart issues, cashews can quietly push your blood pressure into dangerous territory, especially at night. Let me tell you about Mrs. Linda Carver, a sharp, cheerful 80-year-old retired librarian from Pennsylvania. Every night around 9 p.m., she would treat herself to a small bowl of salted roasted cashews while watching her favorite game show. It was her little nighttime reward, and she felt Shetty earned it. She always took her medications on time, stayed active, and stayed away from sweets. But one morning, Mrs. Carver woke up feeling dizzy, disoriented, and with a rapid, irregular heartbeat. She nearly fell while walking into the kitchen. Her blood pressure measured 192/106. At the emergency room, doctors didn't find signs of a stroke or bleeding, but her blood pressure was dangerously unstable. And no, she hadn't forgotten her medication. So, what changed? It was the cashews, those seemingly harmless nuts. Like most packaged nuts sold in stores, the ones she bought were salted and with more sodium than most people realize. Just a small handful contained over 180 milligrams of sodium, and she was eating 2 to 3 handfuls every night without even knowing it. This is something older adults need to understand. After age 60, the body doesn't handle sodium like it used to. The kidneys slow down, blood vessels become more sensitive. Just a small excess of salt, especially at night, can lead to a spike in blood pressure while you sleep. And when blood pressure surges during rest, the brain is the organ at greatest risk. The chance of a hemorrhagic stroke when a weakened blood vessel in the brain bursts increases dramatically. Thankfully, Mrs. Carver didn't have a stroke that night, but now she lives with chronic dizziness, has fallen twice, and can no longer sleep alone without someone nearby. She looked at me and said something I'll never forget. I never thought a few cashews could take away my independence. That's the price nobody sees coming, not just high blood pressure, but your balance, your confidence, and your ability to live alone. These risks remain silent until suddenly they're not. So next time you reach for a salty bedtime snack, ask yourself, is this really worth the risk? You might be satisfying a craving, but you could also be pushing your brain closer to danger. And if you thought salted cashews were bad, just wait until you hear about another high-end nut one that can spike your cholesterol and raise your stroke risk without a single warning sign. Number 3, macadamia nuts. A heart-healthy fat that could be silently harming your brain. Macadamia nuts have long been seen as the gold standard of healthy snacking with their rich, buttery taste and high levels of so-called good fats. They often show up in fancy gift baskets, premium nut mixes, and even in Mediterranean diets that doctors recommend. But there's one important thing many older adults don't realize. When macadamia nuts are eaten regularly and without portion control, they can gradually raise your cholesterol levels, contribute to artery hardening, and increase your risk of stroke, especially at night. This damage builds up slowly over the years, and by the time symptoms show up, it's often too late. I remember one patient clearly, Mr. James Hollis, 81, a retired postal worker from Arizona. Every morning and evening, he'd enjoy a spoonful of macadamia nuts, once with his morning coffee and again with his evening tea. "They're good for my heart," he used to tell me. And he wasn't wrong if eaten in moderation. But when I met him, he had just experienced a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, a minor stroke marked by sudden slurred speech and weakness. He assumed it was just aging, but brain scans revealed the truth: cholesterol buildup and hardening of the tiny blood vessels in his brain had already begun. This is the kind of hidden threat many older adults don't realize. Macadamia nuts are high in monounsaturated fat, a type of healthy fat, but when eaten in excess and without fiber or omega-3s to balance it out, the benefits can quickly turn into risks. Even more concerning for people who take cholesterol-lowering medications, eating too many macadamias can actually mask rising LDL bad cholesterol levels, allowing damage to quietly progress without being detected. Unlike some other fats, the fat in macadamia nuts is extremely energy-dense. Just 10 nuts contain nearly 200 calories and around 20 grams of fat. For older adults, that's a serious concern because metabolism slows down with age, the liver doesn't process fats as efficiently, and blood vessels naturally weaken over time. When those vessels become narrowed or hardened from plaque buildup, even a small blood clot can trigger disaster. And that's when the nightmare begins: slurred speech, vision loss, paralysis, and sometimes it's permanent. Many people never fully recover. Mr. Hollis now needs a cane to walk. He no longer drives and requires help with everyday tasks. "I thought I was being smart," he told me, shaking his head. "I didn't think something as fancy as this could take away my freedom." That's the reality of stroke risk. At this age, it doesn't always come from bad habits. Sometimes it starts with good things done the wrong way, like eating too much of something we believe is healthy without realizing the quiet damage it can cause. So, next time you scoop a handful of macadamia nuts, ask yourself, is this indulgence worth trading away my independence? And if you think macadamias sound risky, just wait until you hear about the next nut. The little green one you'll often find in snack packs or airport lounges that could be silently raising the pressure in your brain without you even knowing. If you're still watching and finding this helpful, please leave a number 1 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. Now let's move on to number 4. 4 pistachios. Small, green, and quietly raising your blood pressure without you realizing it. They look harmless, those tiny green nuts tucked into snack mixes, airline meals, or pretty crystal bowls during the holidays. They're often marketed as heart-healthy, rich in antioxidants, and better than chips. And when they're raw and unsalted, that's mostly true. But for older adults, the issue isn't really the pistachios themselves, it's what gets added to them and when you eat them. And that combination could be putting your brain at serious risk, especially while you sleep. Let me tell you about Mrs. Gloria Westbrook, an 85-year-old retired teacher from Michigan. Every evening, she had a sweet little habit watching the news while enjoying a small handful of roasted pistachios, her favorite bedtime snack. "They're better than chips," she would often say with a smile. But what she didn't know was that her small serving had over 200 millicolars of sodium, sometimes even more. And while that might not sound like much for an older adult, it can have serious consequences. For younger people, the body can bounce back overnight. But at 85, Mrs. Gloria's body responded very differently. One morning, she collapsed in the hallway, dizzy, confused, unable to walk straight. Her blood pressure was 198/112. She was rushed to the ER with suspected stroke. Thankfully, there was no bleeding or clotting. But doctors found signs of chronic vascular tension, hardened arteries, mild brain swelling, and evidence of nighttime blood pressure spikes. And the cause not her medication, she had taken her blood pressure pills faithfully every morning. It was the sodium buildup from the roasted pistachios she enjoyed before bed. Here's the scary part. Even pistachios labeled lightly salted at the store can still contain enough sodium to cancel out your medication, especially if eaten at night. And elevated blood pressure won't wake you up. It happens silently at the exact time your brain is most vulnerable. That's when tiny blood vessels can rupture. That's when a hemorrhagic stroke can strike no warning, no time to react. Mrs. Gloria survived, but now she uses a walker, needs part-time home care, and has lost the independence she once cherished. "I just wanted something crunchy to nibble on before bed," she told me, holding back tears. "I didn't think it would take away my balance, my strength, my freedom." And that's the real danger. It's not always the big, scary things that harm us. Sometimes it's the simple, familiar habits, foods we think are safe, repeated night after night without a second thought. So if you snack on pistachios before bed, stop and ask yourself, are they really worth the risk to my brain? And if you think pistachios are dangerous, wait until you hear about a soft, creamy spread that's probably sitting in your pantry right now and what it could be quietly doing to your blood vessels every night. Number 5, peanut butter. Smooth, comforting, and silently damaging your blood vessels. There's something comforting about peanut butter. Smooth, creamy, rich, and familiar. For many older adults, it feels like a safe food, easy to eat, full of protein, especially helpful when chewing becomes harder or appetite fades. A spoonful before bed. A little spread on toast, it seems simple and harmless. But what if I told you that for seniors, especially those with heart conditions or high blood pressure, peanut butter might be one of the most dangerous things in your kitchen? Would you believe me? Let me tell you about Mr. Don Willis, a 79-year-old Vietnam veteran from Kentucky. He lives alone, is fiercely independent, and tries hard to eat healthy. Every evening, he made himself a simple dinner. 1 banana, a slice of whole grain bread, and a thick layer of peanut butter. He truly thought he was doing the right thing. But then Mr. Don's health began to change. His energy dropped. He often woke up feeling lightheaded. His ankles started swelling. One night, he got out of bed and collapsed into his dresser. At the hospital, we found his blood pressure was dangerously high, and there were early signs of atherosclerosis. His arteries were hardening, inflamed, and gradually weakening. What shocked him most, even though he was on statins, his blood tests showed that his LDL bad cholesterol was still rising. The culprit, the brand of peanut butter he ate every day. It was a popular brand labeled as natural, but it was full of added sugar, hydrogenated oils, and hidden sodium. Just 2 tablespoons packed over 100 milliliters of sodium, plus processed fats that inflame blood vessels and refined sugar that can spike blood sugar levels, especially dangerous at night when your metabolism slows down and your arteries are most vulnerable. For people over 70, processed ingredients like these don't get cleared out of the body as easily. They build up over time. Blood vessels lose their elasticity. Inflammation rises. The endothelium, the inner lining of your arteries, becomes thin and fragile. All of this creates what we call a perfect storm, leading to stroke, heart attack, or even vascular dementia. Today, Mr. Don needs a home nurse 3 days a week and uses a walker. One afternoon, he looked at me voice heavy and said, "Doc, it was just peanut butter. I didn't know it was slowly destroying me." That's the brutal truth. The things that feel safe and familiar if eaten often and without checking the ingredients can become the most silent and dangerous threats of all. These days, the real question isn't just what you eat, but how much, how often, and how your aging body responds to it. So the next time you reach for that jar of peanut butter, pause for a second and ask yourself, is this a source of nourishment or a hidden threat? And if you're now asking yourself, so what is safe anymore, you're not alone. That's the right question to ask, because now more than ever, it's not just about filling your stomach, it's about protecting your brain. So, what should you eat instead? Let's talk about that right now. 6. So, what should you eat instead of these nuts? After everything I've just shared, you might be feeling confused, even discouraged. How could something as natural and healthy as nuts turn into a hidden threat to your brain and independence? That feeling is completely valid. I've seen many of my older patients experience the exact same thing. They were trying their best to live a healthy life. Only nobody ever told them that once your body ages, the old rules don't always apply anymore. Your kidneys, liver arteries, and blood pressure at age 75 don't work the same way they did at 45. And that's exactly why the foods that once helped keep you healthy might now be slowly wearing you down without you even realizing it. That brings us to the most important question. So what should you eat? What kinds of foods truly support your brain, strengthen your blood vessels, and help you stay sharp and independent without worrying about a stroke sneaking up on you while you sleep? To answer that, let me tell you about Mrs. Margaret Lane, a 73-year-old retired nurse from Minnesota. When she first came to see me, she felt tired, foggy, and frustrated. She was taking a cabinet full of supplements, eating mixed nuts twice a day, convinced she was protecting her memory and heart. But in reality, the opposite was happening. Her blood pressure remained unstable, her balance had noticeably declined, and her memory was slipping. "I feel like I did everything they told me to," she said. "So why am I getting weaker every day?" We made one simple but life-changing change. We removed all processed foods, no supplements, no packaged nut mixes, no powdered brain boosters. Just real food balanced whole, eaten at the right times and in the right ways. We started her morning with a soft-boiled egg, pure protein and choline to support memory, half an avocado for potassium and healthy fats to boost circulation, one slice of whole grain toast for slow-release energy, a small handful of unsalted walnuts or ground flaxseed for omega-3s and fiber to support her blood vessels, and a glass of room-temperature water to help with circulation and hydration. Lunch was light leafy green vegetable soup, lentils, or a salmon salad. Dinner was served early sweet potatoes, roasted vegetables, and a portion of steamed chicken or salmon. She also added a few berries during the day for antioxidants. Most importantly, no heavy meals after 7 p.m. Within a few weeks, everything began to shift. Her blood pressure stabilized. The dizziness disappeared. She felt alert, energized. She looked at me and said, "I don't just feel better, I feel clear again." That's the true power of food when you use it wisely. Not like medicine, not like a shortcut, but as a form of nourishment and healing, something your aging body can recognize and respond to. If you walk away with one message today, let it be this: your body is not betraying you. It's trying to tell you something. You don't need extreme diets or expensive supplements. You just need balance, simplicity, and awareness of how each bite affects your brain, your blood vessels, and your future. And now that you know what to eat, stay with me just a little longer, because the thing that will truly protect you as you age isn't just what's on your plate, it's the understanding you bring before you put it there. Don't look away, because up next, I'll share with you a mindset shift that can change the way you think about aging itself. One that can help you prevent strokes, restore energy, and take back control of your health no matter your age. A final wake-up call. Your brain is listening to every bite you take. At this stage of life, every choice you make carries more weight, especially when it comes to your health. And maybe no one has ever said it to you this clearly, but here's the truth: your brain doesn't just respond to what you do or don't do. It's being nourished, protected, or slowly damaged by every single thing you eat. For decades, we've been told that nuts, supplements, and natural snacks are the golden key to longevity and mental clarity. And yes, some of them can be, if used properly at the right time and under the right conditions. But as you get older, the rules begin to change. Your body no longer processes sodium the way it used to. Your arteries lose flexibility. Your kidneys slow down. What was safe at 40 might become dangerous at 75. That's not being negative, that's biological fact. The 5 foods we've covered: almonds, cashews, macadamias, pistachios, and peanut butter, aren't your enemies. But if eaten the wrong way in excess, or especially late at night, they can quietly open the door to strokes, brain bleeds, nerve damage, or memory loss. And the most dangerous part: the early signs never shout. They whisper: a little dizziness, a touch of brain fog, a vague feeling that something's off. Until one night, everything changes. I've seen far too many people lose their ability to speak, to walk, or worse, their independence, not because of cigarettes or fast food, but because of foods they thought were healthy. But here's the good news: awareness is the strongest medicine of all. You can protect your brain. You can eat in a way that supports your mind, your heart, and your body without guessing or gambling. You're not too old, you're not too late, but you do need to start. So the next time you walk into your kitchen, before you reach for that familiar bag or jar, pause, read the label, ask the question, listen to your body, and most importantly, ask yourself, is this feeding my brain or quietly stealing it from me, one bite at a time? I'm sharing this not to scare you, but to inspire you to live more intentionally, more clearly, and more fully. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to share one thing you learned today, one thing you'll carry with you and apply in your daily life. Let's support, encourage, and empower each other to live healthier, smarter lives together. If you found this video helpful, please type the number 1 in the comments. If you're not convinced just yet, feel free to leave a 0. I truly value your feedback. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more real useful content like this. Thank you for watching. And here's to living life on your terms.